Hey, I'm Jonathan Weston, living the Weta life here in Richmond, California. I'm going to give you a little guide on tuning and rigging your boat, your Weta. Okay, here we go. Make sure that sucker's locked on there good. So I've got my boat strapped on. Make sure your mast is good. I strap these on. Don't hit the dock like that. And I kind of make sure everything is good. I tie up my main sheet block so it doesn't rattle. It came undone. This little screw here came undone. And I put a little pad right here.
Just a little commercial break here for pool noodles. Last winter I was noodling over how to keep the water out of my amas, and after replacing the ports there was still water coming in the windy conditions on the bay, and so I stuffed them with pool noodles and a little black dooley noodle thing that goes in the middle. And now my amas are bone dry.
So I just use one boat strap, and it's pretty good, and then tied on at the front. So this trailer I've custom made. Let me go to the other side. This trailer I've custom made so that the 2x4s keep the wheel locked in place. And then I've got one pin lock up here. Supposedly that's supposed to break off, but it has not. So good for me. And then I have my racks, my ramps tied down, well tied down in the front and back.
So now the cowboy there will take his boat down the ramp. Easy there, cowboy. Make sure you get the acas all the way inserted in. Otherwise, they will go in all the way while you're sailing, and then you'll have loose shrouds. Before you do all that, make sure you have these lines from the dolly attached to these two cleats. Notice I've turned the two cleats inward so that they hold the kite sheet, not the old style main sheet. You'll notice here that I've sewed my foot strap on. It actually came off. And I have a backing underneath so that it doesn't come off again. I've sewed it a little further outboard than it was before so I can hike easier on the ama. And now I take a little piece of this rubber wire tie, and this enables me to get my feet under the hiking strap easier. And every sailor needs a good marlin spike kit and a Robaline wax needle. So you'll notice here all the blocks have been turned around from what's sold at the factory. Dave Bernstein, when he sold boats, turned them all around. This is one he sold me. And I doubled the line around. So this way it doesn't come off. And it actually has come off before the other way when I chartered a boat in Florida, and I ended up in a drink. So while Chris can rig in like 11 minutes or something, it takes me quite a bit longer because I go through a lot of extra measures to make sure things are super tight. So I have a super tramp. You can also tighten them up underneath, which is another bit of work. And something else Davo taught me was to take a nice piece of this yoga mat, untie the tramp completely, and insert the yoga mat inside of the webbing on the rail where you're going to hike out for a nice cushy ride. So what I'm going to show you here is my swivel kite cleat for the halyard, the kite halyard, product of West Marine, optional, but you need it for the big kite and for emergency kite dousing. Also showing you my track is shortened a little bit so I can get the main up and down easier. You don't really need all that track. But obviously this is not a marketing video. As you can see, my lines here are not quite coiled up nicely, but it was pretty cold and dark when I last raced.
So this is my hiking strap. I have it attached to a shock cord right here, and it's a little too big for my taste. It's a standard laser strap. I just kind of jury rigged, but it could be better.
Another gift from Davo, a little 3M eyelet that attaches to the side of the boat with a piece of shock cord that will attach to my kite furler. That keeps it off to the side of the boat instead of straight down the middle where I can trip over it. Of course, Chris sails with bare feet, but he's a hobbit. So here you'll see I've attached a piece of Spectra about 14 inches long, and you have to really play with the length to get it just right so your blocks just barely two block together when they're completely pulled in. And the Spectra keeps the block from hitting you in the head and also reduces the amount of line you have for your main sheet so it doesn't go trailing out the back of the boat. But you also want to really play with the length of all these things and the angle of this cleat here, which you can adjust by undoing that screw, and get the adjustment so that when you uncleat the main, you're able to do so from out on the rail, and it's not too low or too high to prevent you from cleating it or from uncleating it.
Here are my inspection ports. You can see that they're well lubricated.
You might want to attach a shock cord to them if you flip over a lot.
These are Viking ports, Viking Marine, out of Long Beach, California, and a little bit of Icolite lubricant goes a long way in keeping your O-ring supple. And then that's in there nice and tight, right? So really good 3M sealant will keep that port in there.
So I rigged the opposite of Chris. I put my shrouds on first. These are my heavy air shackles. This is my medium air shackle. And I don't use the shackles that come with the boat. They break. Make sure your shackles are from France and not from Taiwan, because these are much stronger. And make sure the pin is where the shroud goes. To the pin. The curved end goes on that loopy thing on the boat. And make sure you always tighten up every screw on the boat. Just for extra safety measure, put a piece of tape on your shackles. So take the shrouds and loop them around the front of the corner of the haka there. And then hook in the top of the shroud to the shroud holder there. And that will keep the shroud from catching anywhere when you raise the mast. Repeat the operation for the port side. Then insert the forestay and grab the forestay and bring it around to the front of the boat. So the first halyard I insert is the main halyard, which goes from the direction of the back of the mast to the front of the mast. It's important to note that the part of the halyard with the shackle on it, I've attached at the bottom and it goes underneath the shroud, while the part I'm going to pull on goes above the shroud in front. And then I just tie them together so that they don't come loose when raising the mast. So I sewed this on like this. And you got to check that, make sure this isn't worn. Most importantly, you want to make sure this is not worn, right? And don't forget your French shackle. So I grabbed the main halyard, put it out of the way, and grabbed the kite halyard block, and this is a jib halyard block. So I take the kite halyard and I put it through the kite halyard block and pull the line through evenly and stretch it out to the front of the boat above the port and starboard shrouds.
So my jib halyard, I have a little knot. That's legal. This is not legal, but nobody cares. So if you take that off, you're legal. So short end and a long end. Take the short end, and this block here. Put it long. Get the long end and put it through here. Okay, and I just kind of tie this off like this. Okay.
So of course what makes a Weta easier to rig than other boats is raising the mast. So with my shroud in my left hand facing the mast, I put the mast up onto the dolly step there, make sure my lines are clear, and then raise it on up onto the mast step, which is just a notch, little bar you put the notch at the bottom of the mast onto, and then grab my forestay and I attach it to the little ring in the front of the boat. So when checking this strop line, I see that it has some wear in it, so I'm going to have to replace that by untying this knot or just cutting the line. So I've replaced the line and I have a nice, much tighter strop.
So in light air, I just want to pull this taut a little bit, get the slack out. In medium air, I want to pull it tighter. You want to see the holes raise up when you do this. Okay, so I'm going to pull down. Wrap around once just for safety. Pull down. Feel that, and then I kind of wrap it around a couple times so that when I let go of it, it doesn't come flying off. Go under again. Like that. Pull the slack out. And go under again. Like this. Right? Now I don't have a lot of tension on here. This is why I like an adjustable forestay, but this is simple, right? Easy. Not so much, in my opinion. It's a hassle. Okay, I have a pretty tight rig now.
In lighter air, you don't want to have it this tight. It should be a little bit looser.
Well, these are my little grip handles. I sewed them on, so they're pretty good. When I'm hanging out, I kind of grab on. When I'm hiking out, you might want to reinforce this. I'm going to have to. You can see it's kind of caved in. When it's heavy air, that buckles in on me. I weigh a lot. I have them both tied to a shackle. Probably not the greatest thing, but it works for me. And I go the opposite way, right? The opposite way. And I throw it to the other side of the boat. Okay. Same thing over here. I want to get your ends, and my lighter is broken. I don't smoke. And this, I got this from Bruce Fleming. I don't know where he got it from, but you can tie this around here, or you can tie it here. I like tied here. Okay. Same thing on the other side.
Some people use a continuous line jib sheet and attach it to the main sheet, which is one technique, but I just love the way that the jib sheets stay forward of my legs and don't get tangled up in my legs, and they're very accessible at all times.
Okay, made these myself.
These are the kite sheets, and you make sure that the block is lays completely flat against the trampoline, and that the ratchet pin is facing in so that it ratchets in anything over 3 knots of wind. You don't want to use the kite sheets that come with the boat unless they come with the newer ones that cost $160 from Weta Marine. They got really nice splicing, and I think they're made of gold braid or something. These were $20. They're laser main sheets.
Now these kite sheets go inside the shroud. over the jib sheet. Over the jib sheet, inside the shroud. And I bring it up here. And I tie it to here. To my little line on the bow. That's not even part of the trailer. Grab the other one. And do the same thing. Okay? Right. This line here. Straighten it out. Under the sheet. Through here. Under the sheet. Under the Cunningham. Under the jib sheets. Pretty much under everything. I'll do that. Okay? So Richard Stevens taught me this at the last Weta Fest, is that you need to tie a figure of 8 knot into your line so it doesn't go flying up. You have to bring your mast down. Right through here. 11 minutes sure went by fast. Make sure that sucker is tight. Okay. One side. Other side.
So this is another fast, fun, and easy way of putting your tiller on. Put the pin through all the holes so that they line up, hopefully, and put a little pin at the top. So make sure the bolt on the rudder is really nice and tight, and you should have some reinforcing on your tiller so it doesn't break. As well, make sure that the rudder hold down contraption is adjusted correctly so that when your rudder is down, it stays down.
Oops.
So now I'm going to put the jib on with my French shackle. And now I'm going to attach the little clips on the jib to the forestay, the bottom one which can be eliminated by the manufacturer, and attach the halyard with a bowline and raise the jib. So probably my least, or my second least favorite thing besides the forestay is getting this line looped around the jib halyard and through the cleat. So you need a nice pointy end to your line. Good Lord, old man, no wonder it takes you so damn long to rig your boat. So once you get this thing strapped all up, then you want to tension it just so that the scallops get out of the luff of the sail. So it's just tight. So one more thing I like to do to tinker and rig longer is to take my halyards and put them under this little weird bolt here. That way my lines aren't bunched up onto my mast, which is normally done right here with this piece of Velcro, which is I only use to keep my GoPro on now. So I don't want to cut this piece of line, so a little extra line here, but basically I've attached loops so that I can quickly move my jib position shackle to a forward loop in the line, and effectively I can put it in between 2 points, between 2 grommets. So I generally like it between the back one and one forward, and as I become overpowered I'll move it one forward, but never more. Don't forget to attach a safety harness leash to either this ringlet D-ring here or to somewhere in the front of the boat, which I'm not sure where that would be. In the future, people might start attaching D-rings to the front of the boat, which is a little safer to keep you from falling off the back of it. And of course, this furler line goes in the cleat, and you furl the kite up nice and tight. If you're like me and you've broken your luff rope feeder about 5 times, you might want to buy an aluminum one and put that halyard on, and up the main goes with help of your other hand feeding the sail. This is much easier to do on land than it is in the water on the dock. But get it all the way up until the metal sheave catches on the strop doohickey catcher. So I complete the main halyard, and then I take the halyards and I put them all into a little bag. This is where my GoPro ran out of battery. But put them all in a little bag, and I put them next to the, attach them to the shock cord I use to retain my kite if I have to pull it down in an emergency. So I whipped out my handy iPhone 5, and there it is. Alternatively, you can use a camelback bag, keep your water there, and keep your kite nice and tucked into it when you want to keep your kite down, or you have a bigger kite. To learn more, view my light air instructional video. Here's the place where you would normally have a bunched up halyard, which I don't. So I like that. This is my little Cunningham attachment, so I don't have a hook there that catches onto the jib sheet. Nice. And this is where I have attached my main sheet for the day. So I place the main sheet in the back hole where it's most powerful, and I move it forward as I become more overpowered. So that would be about 22 to 25, and then from 30 to time to go in, I place it in the forward hole. So here I'm showing my tiller extension. My hiking stick is extended 4 extra inches, and it's just a dowel with some tennis wrapping around it. Anyway, it works pretty good for me. Even though you might be short, your arms are pretty much at the same length. So a long person will have long arms, a short person will have short arms, and the hand ends up at about the same spot. But you still need an additional bit to your hiking stick to get further forward in the boat in light air and to get further out in heavy air. It's a great shot from Rick Saez at the 2013 Spring Dinghy Regatta at St. Francis Yacht Club. So just to show that I've taught Dave a few tricks of my own, I'm using the longer hiking stick here, and he's using the one that comes standard with the boat. And the moral of the story is that we all learn from each other, and now Davo has a longer hiking stick. So here's the boat all rigged up. Notice my dagger board is in the boat. Don't want to forget that. And I'm going to head to the water now. But first I'll need to get dressed, which is the most important part of sailing. You want to be warm. Otherwise you'll be miserable. For booties, I wear Ronstand booties. They're not only good, easy to zip up and everything and get on, but they keep a really good grip on the opposite side of the boat, so I stay in the boat. I wear a non-Coast Guard approved Zick life jacket. Not sure why they allow people to wear these, but since we don't have a boom, it's pretty safe. Nobody's going to knock me out. Maybe. But I can't stand the bulkiness of the Coast Guard approved life jacket, so this is what I wear. For a wetsuit, I wear an NRS Farmer John, or I prefer this Ronstand brand new kind of pants look. So they have the same kind of NRS grip on them, but they're much lighter than the NRS and more flexible. So as long as I don't show my tush, I'm good. So for a top, I use a little Victory light wetsuit with some nylon to keep my muscles from cramping up. And if it's really cold, I'll use a Zick Super Warm. If it fit me, not much fits me. So this is also, I have a brand new fleece thing that's from Ronstand that I would wear in lieu of or in addition to this. On the top of that, I wear a spray jacket, and I actually was given a trophy, Ron Stand one, which I think is better, but I was able to trade it in for this slam jacket, which fits me, because the Ron Stands don't come in donut size. And again, I'm not paid for any of this, but Gil makes the best damn sailing gloves around. And I kind of need a big watch because I don't have very good eyesight. So I use the Ron Stand Start Watch. And if your docks are crappy like our docks, hey, more use for things like pool noodles and yoga mats and yoga, whatever those things are right there we're looking at. So that's it. It only took me 12 minutes to rig as opposed to Chris's 11 minutes. And now I get to go out in the water and have a blast. That's the main thing. Rigging, if it does take you a long time, just remember, it's therapeutic. So I hope those tips helped and you get out in the water, and I hope to see you there. And you're all out there taking all my tips to heart and kicking my ass.